guys. I've got these pin nailers from Harbor Freight, and they're great. I was doing some work the other day in an area where I had to string out about 4. Let me back this up a little bit. Where I had to string out about 4 different airlines, and it's just a real pain in the ass. It was raining, it got the airlines muddy, and I don't have a portable contractor's air compressor. And so what I needed to do, or what I got the idea of doing, was using a 2-liter soda bottle for a temporary air tank. And I got online and seen, a number of people doing it. And then I saw a guy do some burst testing on different things and noticed that the soda bottles are bursting at about 150 psi. And so what I decided was that obviously wasn't high enough, because if my air compressor goes up to 125, I was worried about it bursting, and then I was also worried about cycling it and having it fatigue and then burst. So then I looked at some PVC and ABS tests. The ABS fails at a lower pressure. From what this guy did, he did a 1.5-inch line, and it failed at I think it was 450 psi. And then the PVC, when that failed, it just broke. The end blew off. When the PVC breaks, it tends to shatter. So I certainly didn't want to use PVC. So I went with ABS, all that said. And I'm going with 4-inch ABS. And I went to my local plumbing store and got these rounded ends, like what you'd find on a pressure vessel. They also, at the big box stores, have the square ends. I went with these. I felt like they'd be stronger, the hemispherical ends. And so what I'm going to do for this project is I'm going to assemble these ABS pieces, got glue. I'm going to put a female connector in the end of it, and I'm going to back that up on the other side with, I bought this from big box store. It's 3/8 by 1/4 pipe. It's a adapter, or it allows you to size up or size down. What in the heck are they called? Bushing. So it's 3/8 to 1/4 NPT bushing. I went and got a little nylon washer that I can crush on the inside of this bushing. I'm going to actually sand the bushing face flat and then crush the washer so that I make sure and get a good sealing surface, and it's less chance of being able to pull out of the threads. I went and got a 1/4-inch 18 National Pipe Thread tap. And then what I got for on the other side, or it's actually going to be, so the way this is going to look is it's going to be this. I got a 1/4 to 1/4 male coupling. That's going to go here. Then I've got this regulator, because I also wanted to know what my pressure was, and that's going to go on top of it. And then at the very last is going to be my female fitting, and you guys will see that. But you're going to need 1/4 to 1/4. If you're going to do this just like I'm doing it, 1/4 to 1/4 coupler, Harbor Freight. Regulator, Harbor Freight, tap, wherever you can find it. And then to fill it, I've got automotive fittings here, so I'm just going male to male. And I happened to buy one that was male threads and one that was female threads, and I'm just going to put them together, and that's going to be my adapter to fill. You're going to need pipe tape, and then you're going to need, obviously, some wrenches to put all this stuff together. In my case, let's see, probably going to be a 19, no, is it 22? No, a 19 millimeter, 19 fits this. Looks like a 16 millimeter fits this. I don't even know if I've got a 16. I've got a 16 here. Let's see if that fits. It's a strange size. Yeah, so this female from Harbor Freight, female threaded automotive connector is 16. And then the male automotive connector is I'm going to guess it's a 14. Yep, male connector is a 14. You're going to need a 16. You're going to need a 19. And let's see, is there anything else? I don't know what this is. Let's see. The Harbor Freight male-to-male connector, probably also going to be a 14. Yep, that's a 14. And is there anything else? I think that's it. Also, the one other thing you're going to need is I'm going to end up using a Forstner bit to do this pipe tap. I'll let you know what that size is here in a minute when I get to it, when I get this glued up. So I'm going to pause you guys and decide how I'm going to start here. Alrighty, I'm back. So it looks like I've got a Porter cable Forstner bit set here. It looks like the 3/8 bit is the one I'm going to use to make the hole in one end. So 3/8 Forstner bit. And I'm just going to start making this stuff up. I'm going to go ahead and do these male to female connectors first because it's quick and we'll get them out of the way. If you've got any stickers that don't come off, you can use a heat gun or razor blade or whatever you want to do. So I'm going to pipe thread these real quick, get some pipe thread on here. Let's see, am I going the wrong way? No, I'm going the right way for once. You'll need no, you won't need two 14s. You need a 14 and a 16. So get these tightened up here real quick. Alright, so I'll come back and get all that sticker crap off in a little bit. And then we'll go ahead and assemble this. Actually, yeah, we'll get the gauge on here next. The weak link's going to be the pipe, and so I want to make sure that I'm really careful with that. So we'll get this thing wrapped up here. Now the one thing I've experienced with Harbor Freight stuff is sometimes they cut the threads too small. They don't pay attention to their thread pitch diameters. So you're going to kind of have to watch that. How am I going to want this to go on? Does it matter? Probably not. Let's pretend that's the top. How am I done with this hand? So I'm going to want to look like that. So I'll do like this, which means this needs to go on the bottom. It's going to be really important that this doesn't leak because any amount of leak will obviously drain it real fast. So I'm hoping that nothing leaks, it seals properly. And then we're going to get our chuck here. So we'll get our little Chinese stick. And again, wrap these threads up. And when you tap the hole, you can go too deep. So I'm going to be as careful as possible on not going too deep with these threads. Pipe tap out of the road. Now my concern is that just bottomed out. So if I have to, what I will do, and actually this has got I should have paid attention, it has an arrow, thankfully I got it right. So it looks like flow is supposed to go that direction, which it's going to. It's going to go from the bottle into my gun. If that leaks, I'll pull this back apart and I'll tap it now that I've got this tap. So this is my rig so far. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to need something to drill with. My case, it's my handy dandy impact gun. Now this has a raised portion on both ends, so I think I'll sand that off so I can get a good start. So I just happen to save these leftover sandpaper for things just like this. And this stuff, because this Forstner bit is having a hard time going through. Whoa. Did not mean to do that. I didn't know it was going to go through so easy. It did melt it though. Did I hit my countertop? No? Surprisingly enough, I didn't. That's amazing. I didn't chip my bit. Alright, so we're done with Forstner bit set. Get that out of the road. And we're done with the impact gun, I believe. So now I got to get this pipe tap started. I don't know if that was big enough. I may have to go to another size up. You know, instead of my Forstner bit, I'm just going to get out a regular drill bit. Again, I bought this Harbor Freight Cobalt set, which has just been totally awesome. Absolutely love these drill bits if you take good care of them. So I'm going to go with, what is this, 27/64s. And it's not big enough for the regular. For the small chuck. I don't want to plug in my other chuck. So I had to go to my other drill motor. My big one. Alright, so let's try that again. 27/64s. still in Cosmoline. Ooh. Alright. Those bad boys put back. Perfect. So my tap size in this case just happens to be something like a 12. What is it? Yeah, more or less. And I can't. One of the things I want to do is I want to try to get this thing as straight as possible. And it's super duper soft. So, I mean, it's just cutting like butter. Now, the reason I'm stopping right away, I believe these threads to be fairly small. So my concern is bottoming out right away. Yep. Here's a hint, don't drop your tap. Good thing I've got carpet. Seems our pitch. Why are we not starting here? Alright guys, so the pipe, the nipple came out of this 17 maybe? Oh, V1.19. Of course. The nipple came out of this. There's flats on these. I didn't know that till I just looked. The nipple came out of this aluminum body, so I'm really, without splitting it, I'm really tightening it up. As far as how far the tap went in, the tap is, where's my tape at? Hold on. The threaded portion of the tap is 1 inch long, and I went into this cap a little further than I would have liked to have. I went so that there's only just a touch over 3/8 sticking out. So I'm going to make sure and get it plenty tight. Don't roll away. And I put, I taped up the threads for sure. So we'll use this 19 to tighten this up. And the fitting is not going to be long enough that I'm going to be able to get anything on it inside here. I don't believe. So I'm not going to be able to do what I wanted to do, which was pinch it down with this other fitting, because the cap's too thick. So we'll have to try it without that. Hopefully it doesn't blow the threads out. So this portion is set up. Now I've got to, I'm going to get some things cleaned up here and moved out of the road so I can do some glue up here. Okay, get those out of the road. How's this going to work? I have this bad feeling this is going to leak. Cheap Harbor Freight fittings. I have to take that back. Alright, so I'm going to wipe down this. I didn't end up using the washer. I'm going to wipe down this pipe real quick because it's been sitting for a while. And I'm just cleaning this with water. It's not even soapy water, it's just regular old water. And I'm going to clean the whole thing real fast. The inside has a bunch of gunk in it too, so I'm gonna get the same treatment. And then the other side, man. Alrighty. And it is time to glue this bad boy up. Shove it on and give it about an 1/8 turn. And then I'm going to sit for a second with pressure on this. Like I said, I'm a little concerned about the Harbor Freight fitting, so if that turns out to be junk, I'll just take it back and get a nicer one, or get one from a more reputable location. We'll see. Alright, we'll call that good and do the same for this one. Make sure there's plenty of that. Ooh. It's dripping. Take that, push it on, turn it a little bit. And probably a little bit of what's happening is there's air pressure in there, so yeah, that's exactly what's happening. So when you glue this up, make sure you got the your adapter in so you don't pressurize it, because it pressurized and actually started to push the cap off. So what can I do here? So as usual, my camera has inconveniently turned off, which would be my cell phone. Well, I don't know how far I got into it, so I'll recap. If you don't make sure and bleed the air pressure out when you glue the last cap on by inserting your adapter in there and bleeding the air out, it'll push the cap up. So you want to make absolutely sure that you bleed the air out so that it doesn't push the cap up. And then what I've done is I've just in my case I found something and set it underneath that furniture that I'm working on so that it'll hold the caps in place until I'm actually done and ready to go. So let's see. Oh, sorry guys. So hindsight, make sure you get decent fittings. Maybe I'm being overreactive, but I have a feeling that Harbor Freight fitting is going to be no good. If you're doing thick pipe and you don't have a long enough nipple, you will not be able to use the coupler like I intended to, nor will you be able to use the washer. And other than that, just make sure your pipe's clean. And we'll see how this turns out when it sets up here in a little while. Talk to you guys in a bit. Alright guys, this is the test. This thing's been sitting for probably 2 or 3 hours now. And it just put a couple times now, I put 100 pounds of air in it. Seems to be holding fine. Actually, it looks like it's only got 80 in it right now. So with 80 pounds in it, oh, I was reading 90. A gauge. So the one thing I don't like is I said this fitting was crappy. It is crappy. If you turn it a little bit, it leaks. But if I just go ahead and shoot this thing, right now it's reading 100. You know, right in there, right around 20 to 25 shots, it's down at 40 psi. One of the things you'll want to do when you make this thing, these two fittings work the way they're supposed to, but when you pull one side or the other off, air goes everywhere. So when you make this fitting, first of all, get a good connector. Second of all, when you make this fitting, put a shutoff in between it. In other words, a little on-off. And that allows you to turn it off and disconnect and not have air blowing everywhere. So it works fairly well. This is an 18 gauge pin nailer. What it's going to allow me to do is fill up and go shoot it about 20 times and get some pieces of trim in. I can come back up to the shop and refill it fairly quickly. It's large. It's not too large for the gun. I mean, it hangs straight down, so it's fine. It would be interesting to see if you could hook one of these air guns up with a really good regulator to something like a paintball. You know, one of those 1000 psi compressed air tanks, or even a the other interesting thing would be to do a CO2 tank, but you know, for the same thing, for a paint gun. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this up and go down and use it on the trim to do a little bit of install, and hope this helps someone. Thanks.